and welcome to part one of our webinar, Clearly Communicating Business Success, presented by Nextiva. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso from the Channel Company. My guest today is Ronnell Richards, entrepreneur, consultant, and business coach. Welcome, Ronnell. Before we dive into our topic today, let's first get to know you. I called you a business coach, but according to your LinkedIn page, that is not what you call yourself. How would you describe what you do to help business owners in the channel?
First, Katie, I want to applaud you for pronouncing my name properly. So many people get that wrong. Great job on that. As far as your question, when I think coach, I think that corny YouTube video, right, where you've got that football coach that fires people up, and then they go run out and they run onto the field and let's go get it. We're gonna go win, but that's not how you win the game. You win the game in practice. You win the game in preparation. You win the game with not fancy speeches, but actually getting in the trenches, right? And so, when I'm consulting and coach, so I kind of don't like the term coach because I think that's kind of the connotation that comes with it. And anyone can call themselves a coach nowadays. I like to really get intimately involved in business and share some of these things that I've learned over the years in the channel, which is nearly 20 years now. It's weird to even say that, but it's in the details, it's in the everyday actions. That's where the success is. It's not just in fancy speeches and inspirational quotes.
You mentioned right there, 20 years in the channel. Tell me a little bit about your experience through those 2 decades.
Wow, Katie, I have seen so much over these last 2 decades, which again, weird to say. It's been one heck of a ride. We really started out as kind of this mom and pop, good old boy sort of system, right? And we've grown to something that we have so much technology in the channel. We have so many great resources in the channel. We've really become a big player in technology and how things are being sold in the business world now. And it's evolved so much. I've learned so much over that last 20 years. Done a lot of things right, Katie, but I've also done a lot of things wrong. And that's where the lessons are. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully sharing some of those things.
Well, before we get right into it, I really want to know from you, Ronnell, coming from a background as rich as yours, with all the experience that you have, overall, what information, tools, or advice are you hoping that viewers leave with after this webinar today?
Well, Katie, I'll tell you like this. I'm kind of a straight shooter. So I just like to share my truth, right? And my truth is my experience, the things that I may not be the truth for everyone, but this is what I've learned through my experience. So I share things that you can't read in a book, right? The things that you have to, what I like to call, wisdom. Like wisdom is something that you've got to earn. You've got to go out there, you've got to take your licks, you got to get your scars. And that's how you gain wisdom and the gray hairs that I have in my chin here right now.
Same. I definitely agree with you, Ronnell. Perspective, I always say, is something that you can't buy, but it's the most valuable thing that you can have. So welcome. I'm so excited to get to talk to you. Let's get started with today's discussion. Clearly communicating business success. It's been a difficult year for business in general, to say the least. The impact to businesses, especially small to medium-sized businesses, has been very, very heavy. How have you as a business leader felt the impact of 2020, and how have you seen your clients and industry peers affected?
Katie, it's such an interesting question for the channel because by and large, I got to tell you, from a financial standpoint, I've seen my peers do quite well during the pandemic because, a lot of us are selling technologies that now became a necessity. They weren't a luxury where we're trying to present, our value props and tell people that are reticent to make change that they need to make change. They were forced to make change. And so, a lot of my peers did really well in 2020. So I look at it from a little different perspective, Katie. I think that what was more impactful beyond just that we sold a bunch of stuff was everything that happened in social movements that impacted our business and will impact our business moving forward, right? I think that I've seen some really great initiatives from leaders in the channel and diversity and inclusion, right? And these are the things that, for whether you're a larger company or you're an agent, you have to take serious, because you're not just doing business with the people in your backyard that look like you. You're doing business on a global scale now, right? We can do business with anyone in the world. Now that everyone is virtual, it's that much easier to do business with people anywhere. So if you're going to do business with people anywhere, you've got to understand people a little bit better. You have to be able to communicate with people better as well. And you've got to look for partners in business that get that are providing great solutions, and that they value diversity as well, right? So I think that for me, and again, that's a little bit of a different perspective, but I'm telling you, that's what we have to be thinking about if you want to continue to stay in this business. Again, I've seen it for a lot of years, and we've gone from this to this, and this last year we went from here to there. So, if you want to keep pace with what's going on, not just in our country, in our local business, but beyond that, these are things that you have to take serious, and things that you've got to make sure that you're aligning with companies that understand these things as well, so they can help you in your efforts to sell to anybody.
I really liked your comments about change, that it was something you had to do. There was no other choice in the matter. Digital transformation, we always talk about that it's happening, that it's coming. I feel in the past year, we've really seen it hit us harder than ever and accelerate it more than ever. So I have to ask Ronnell, what were the biggest challenges to business before the effects of the pandemic, and how have those challenges changed since then?
That's a really great question. And everything happened so quickly, Katie. Everyone had to adopt technologies that they weren't necessarily using before, right? So part of what that's done is it's changed the baseline for us. In our business, in the channel, you have a lot of agents that are what we probably call lifestyle agencies, right? And these were smaller operations, and a lot of these guys relying on legacy technologies, right? And serving those customers with these legacy technologies, and being well paid for quite some time. Well, now the baseline is here. It used to be there, it's here now. The number of technologies that people have been exposed to in a very quick, very short period of time, it's changed dramatically. The things that they need in their business has changed dramatically, and you can't be that legacy technology guy. You've got to be a solution provider now. You really have to be able to speak a different language. You can't just talk about telco. It's not telco anymore. It's unified communications. We're communicating on so many different levels. And now, again, this is the baseline now. So you've got to level up. I see from my peers, I see from some great leaders in the industry, really taking this opportunity to educate and to get agencies to level their game up. And if you're not doing that, you're going to be left behind, and you're going to find your bases dwindling very quickly.
Absolutely, Ronnell. As a business leader, pandemic aside, how difficult has it been to keep up with technology changes? And how do you do it? What exactly would you tell your peers, your colleagues to do in this situation?
Oh, I love that question. So, Katie, I've always considered myself one that tries to stay ahead of the game, right? I want to know what's coming out. I want to know what's next, and I want to be an innovator. And I think that has helped me to now stay level. Okay. So I was ahead of the game, then the game changed, and so I'm level. I think that for agents and VARs and those in our channel to be successful, you really have to rely on partners that are going to focus on education. Right. That's one of the great things that I've seen in the channel, is that you've got some great leaders like Nextiva. You've got some great leaders that are bringing education to the agents. Now, a lot of agents haven't been taking advantage of that, but you need to take advantage of that, and you need to look for partners that are providing that. Katie, whenever I was evaluating a company that I wanted to work with, I'd always sit down and say, hey, are you guys willing to invest in me? I'm going to put resources out there. I'm going to do what we do. We've got this great sales team, and we're going to sell your product, but I'm not going to sell your product unless you're willing to invest in me. There are companies that get it. Nextiva is one of those companies that get it. And so they're investing, and that's the sort of partnership that I look for, and those sort of partnerships that I think agents should be looking for going here into 2021, because we've got to get smarter. We have to provide better solutions. We have to actually provide solutions.
Solution provider has never been a more literal term
Absolutely.
In this case. Very, very true on that. And we're going to be talking about Nextiva a little bit more coming up. You mentioned them right there. So let's move on to a subject that I'm hoping will bring some hope back into the conversation, a little bit more away from pandemic speak and things like that. And that is discussing these keys to success. I feel like this is something people constantly chase. So let's see if we can actually get there. How important is communication to business success? And what challenges do you often see in this space?
It's critical. It's the lifeblood. But I think that the conversation needs to evolve a little bit, Katie. It's not just that communication is important, it's that we're communicating in so many different ways now, right? And if we're not understanding that as agents, we're not going to be able to advise our clients in the best way that we possibly can. And if we're not able to do that, they're going to go to someone else that can, right? So now the communication, we're communicating through obviously voice, we're communicating through text, we're communicating through social media. There's so many different mediums. We're communicating through video. And so we've really got to be on top of our game and understand all these different technologies and look for partners in our business that can help bring all these things together. Because again, these are the things that our clients are going to be looking for. And if they come asking us for it, Katie, we're too late. Because if they're asking us, it's because someone else has started the conversation. Now that person is in the trusted advisor status, the status that we want to be in, the status that many of us have right now. But you don't want to be the phone guy. Because if you're the phone guy, you're just going to be the phone guy. We want to be trusted advisors when it comes to all of their technology. And so I know we went a little bit of a different direction, but I think we brought it right. That all makes sense, right, Katie?
Absolutely. No, I definitely think that you were able to explain that really well. And you talk about all these services that we're using on a daily basis for communication. Look at what we're doing right now. I don't know if we would have been doing this up to a year ago. It would have been in person. It would have had a lot more choreography surrounding it to try to make that happen. But going from there, there are services like this one, solutions that business owners are going to need to invest in moving forward. And they need to get that from their MSPs and solution providers. So what solutions or services would you advise business owners to invest in right now, and why?
You know, as I'm going out there and I'm consulting with different companies in the channel and outside of the channel, Katie, one of the biggest holes that I see in terms of technology is just managing your customer database, a CRM tool, right? This is fundamental to being able to communicate what you were just talking about, right? Communication being key in business. If you don't have a tool that allows you to manage your customers and to communicate with them consistently, you're missing out. You're going to lose them to someone else. So I think that if there's one technology that's key, is CRM and managing that CRM properly.
You brought them up before, but how can a vendor like Nextiva help businesses in today's current environment? And of course, moving forward as the world starts to recover from the impacts of the past year?
Yeah, you know, what I've seen from Nextiva and where I've been so impressed by them and their leadership is, you know, they've taken enterprise products and really brought those to the SMB world. Now, yeah, they serve enterprise customers as well, but they've taken that, they've packaged it, and they bundled these technologies that we're talking about, these communication tools, the CRMs, basic fundamental things, again, that we need, right? And small businesses need if they're going to succeed here moving forward into 2021. But they've taken that, they've bundled those fundamental tools, then added some really fun enterprise level features and functionalities that SMB just simply didn't have access to before. And Katie, I'll tell you this, I've run contact centers in my business. And I can remember a time when I spent a whole lot of money on servers for our contact center staff. And today I can access those same types of features and those same types of services from Nextiva for a small fraction of the price. Oh my God, where were they at when I needed that 15 years ago? Anyway, the point in that is that that's the power that platforms like Nextiva bring to the SMB world. And with what's happened here in 2020, let's make sure that this is not lost on anyone. This is not a luxury anymore. We are beyond luxury. This is the baseline. So if you don't have a platform like this, you are behind. And you can't afford to be behind right now.
Absolutely. And Ronnell, we were talking about it earlier in the webinar, but 2021 actually marks your 20th year in the channel. So first of all, congratulations and happy anniversary.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Congratulations on all of that success. And with that said, I'd love to know your predictions for the rest of 2021. We've just gotten into the first quarter. So what changes do you anticipate businesses and channel partners facing? And how can they prepare, adapt, and stay the course to success?
Well, first of all, Katie, it doesn't look like 20 years. I wear that 20 years pretty well, right?
I agree. You definitely do.
It has been one heck of a ride, and very grateful for my introduction to the channel. And in 2001 is when I did my very first deal in the channel. And it looks vastly different today than it did back then. What I think we can look forward to here in 2021 is, again, more opportunity, because these technologies that we're selling, people need them. The baseline has changed. And so, we need to continue to educate ourselves and maintain our position as trusted advisors. And that, again, starts with education on all of these different platforms that people need. One of the things that we've all seen in the last couple of years here is we've seen big players come into the channel, and some big money coming to the channel. So what does that mean for your traditional agent? It means that your competition is changing, right? Like where you had a traditional, mentioned lifestyle type of agent, which is, you've taken those relationships that you had working somewhere else and you've leveraged that into a decent little book of business. You need to build a sales team now. You need to be able to scale your business, because as the channel has grown, there are now companies coming into the channel that are sales focused, and they're bringing professional sales teams, and they will be your competition. So you've got to step your game up. We've enjoyed that ride of being a lifestyle sort of channel, but now you got to step it up a little bit. That doesn't mean that you change how you do business in terms of being about your customer, being about your relationships. You absolutely can maintain that, but understand that you're not doing the very best that you can by your client and keeping that relationship if you're not at the forefront of education and making sure that you're educating them and you're making sure that they are armed up to be successful. Because just like we have to step up, they've got to step up too. Because if they don't step up, they're not going to be in business anymore. And guess what? Then there's no one to pay those bills and keep your residuals coming in.
Ronnell, thank you so much for your time and your insight today. You've really given us a lot of information to think about, and I'm so excited to be able to talk to you again in part 2 of our webinar. But thank you for being here and getting a chance to talk to me. This has been a lot of fun.
I think so too. I'm equally excited for the next part of this. And you've been awesome. You've been so warm and engaging, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for making it easy. And thank you at home for watching. Stay tuned for part 2 of our webinar, Clearly Communicating Business Success, presented by Nextiva. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso. Thanks for watching.